Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn. His heat is gone. Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. Ja Morant. Insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Grizzlies win edition. My name is Keith Parrish. The Grizzlies picked up 2 blowout victories over the weekend. They destroyed the Washington Wizards on Friday night. Jaren Jackson Jr. scored 39 points. Scotty Pippen Jr. got his first career start and his first career triple-double. Then on Sunday, the Grizzlies began a road trip at Portland and posted a 45-point beatdown. That's the 4th largest victory in franchise history. They scored a season-high 134 points, and now they sit at 7-4 on the season. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about both of those victories, and, of course, I'm going to talk about the Ja Morant injury news. Maybe the biggest news of the weekend was the medical update that came on Saturday. Some no good, horrible, I guess it could have been much worse, injury news for Ja Morant. So let's get into it. Before we do, just a reminder, if you want to support this show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Let's say you're leaving Twitter. You're getting off Twitter. Well, hey, come join our listener Slack channel. You can do all that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right. Let's start with the Ja Morant injury news. Ja Morant, of course, did not play in these last 2 blowout victories. He has a hip injury. It was initially called a right hamstring strain. He did not look very good after that Lakers game moving around. So he gets hurt in the Lakers game trying to catch that difficult alley-oop. He gets bumped out of the air. I think the team's pretty upset that that's a no call. Not that it would have changed the injury outcome, but he got hurt in that game. Then they announced it wasn't a hamstring injury, it's a hip injury. And then we saw him at the home game. You saw him on TV for the game against the Wizards, and he's using crutches, and you're like, well, that's bad. And now we get the news that he's going to be out week to week. And yet another player out week to week, joining Desmond Bane and also Marcus Smart. Now, Marcus Smart, he was doubtful for the game against the Trailblazers. So fingers crossed, that means he will be questionable for the Wednesday game against the Lakers, and he will be back. But Ja Morant's week-to-week injury, it feels a little more severe than Desmond Bane's week-to-week injury. The only reason I say that, as someone who doesn't have a medical degree and has gotten no information, I saw Desmond Bane jumping around, hooting and hollering after Grizzlies plays against the Trailblazers on Sunday. Meanwhile, after the game, did you see Ja Morant walk off the court, gingerly struggle to get off the court using crutches? It seems like Ja Morant is way further away from playing basketball than Desmond Bane. But again, we don't know. With this new week-to-week designation, we're just guessing. So if Marcus Smart returns on Wednesday, his quote-unquote week-to-week designation would have been a little bit under 2 weeks from that injury report, which dropped on November 1st. As far as Jaws, if we start the clock on Saturday, that's Saturday, November 9th, I don't know. Are we thinking Thanksgiving? Hopefully. A 2-week injury? So it's not ideal, of course. The Grizzlies still keep suffering these blows to their roster. And for Ja, I think the bad news is, beyond the actual missing of the games, for me, it's kind of embracing, as a fan, I guess I believe that he just is injury prone. And this is just what Ja Morant's career is going to kind of be. I mean, not to speak in too definitive terms or in blanket statements, I just think this is a guy who's going to fight to try to play 65 games each year. With this new rule that you can't be eligible for end-of-season awards without playing 65 games, that's going to be tough, I feel like, for Ja Morant. Because of his slight frame, because of his athletic playing style, it's hard for him to avoid these kinds of injuries. But no reason to get too down on it right now. It's something we cannot control, and I could be totally wrong. But without Ja Morant, Scotty Pippen Jr. stepped up, and stepped up in a huge way. And the story of the season, before I get into the individual games, is just how the Grizzlies have endured these player absences. And it's starting to feel, in a great way, a lot like the 2021-2022 season, where the Grizzlies routed teams over and over, whether Ja Morant played or not. Now, we do need to pump the brakes on the start to the season. Being 7-4 with the heavy minutes played to Jaylen Wells and Santi Aldama and Jake LaRavia and Scotty Pippen Jr., it's great. It's absolutely great. But their opposition has been very weak. So we'll pump the brakes a little bit, but I will say right now it feels like that 56-win season, because it doesn't matter who's on the court. They're playing their style. They're playing their game. They're getting up and down the court. They're rebounding the ball well, which was not expected. They're scoring in the paint. They're still number one in the NBA in paint points per game. And when they're playing bad teams, they're crushing them. And you can only play who's put in front of you. But when you blow them out, that feels to me like the sign of a very strong team. So I'm extremely excited about the 7-4 start. Now, speaking to the opposition, Dunks and Threes is this analytics site that does a strength of schedule that also factors in which players played for the teams you played. And right now, the Grizzlies have the easiest schedule so far. When you factor in the opponent and which players actually played for that opponent, they say the Grizzlies have had the easiest schedule and also have faced the worst defensive teams so far. The result of that, though, is some pretty great numbers. And, of course, when you play 11 games and one of those games is a 45-point blowout where you hold your opponent to 89 points, a lot of the season-long stats are going to look amazing. Right now, the Grizzlies, after 11 games, NBA.com, which does not filter out the garbage time stats, NBA.com has them as the 6th best offense. They have the 5th best defensive rating and their 5th in net rating. Now, cleaning the glass, which filters out garbage time, like it filtered out the entire fourth quarter against the Trailblazers, actually has them ranked higher. Right now, cleaning the glass has the Grizzlies as the 3rd best defense, the 5th best offense, and also 5th in net rating. So those numbers are all tremendous. The assist numbers, there's also 2nd in the NBA in assists per game, 1st in points in the paint, like I said. Their effective field goal percentage is way up. Their rebounding is way up. The reason their effective field goal percentage is way up, they're shooting the three-pointers fine, and that might come down. Of course, they shot the 3 ball amazingly well, I would say, for them in the past 3 games. But also, beyond the three-point shooting, which is just around league average, their scoring in the paint, their efficiency at doing so is off the charts, basically. They're hitting all their layups. And that's one thing where maybe you highlight, is this new offense some kind of hack? Are all these backdoor cuts for layups leading them to have this incredible finishing number? I mean, maybe you give some credit to that. Maybe it's not the total story. Maybe you're playing teams that don't have shot blockers. But right now, the Grizzlies are scoring with unbelievable efficiency in the paint. And because of that, you're 7-4. And you're 7-4 despite the players you're rolling out there. Now, in the game against the Wizards, of course, Scotty Pippen Jr. got that start with Ja Morant not available. Zach Edey came off the bench, and I haven't seen Taylor Jenkins address this. Like, what's the reason for moving Zach Edey to the bench? My thinking initially, ahead of the Wizards game, I was like, are they just avoiding Jonas Valanciunas? Are they moving Zach Edey to the bench so Jonas doesn't push him around? I was like, that doesn't make that much sense because Jonas is a paint-bound center pretty much. That's the kind of matchup that should work for the Grizzlies. But I think I've decided that they moved Brandon Clark into the starting lineup because with the lack of Ja Morant, they just wanted more experience in the starting lineup. I don't think they necessarily wanted to start two rookies and a Scotty Pippen Jr. That's my guess. That's my theory. Yes, the Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson Jr. minutes have been tremendous this season. They've always been tremendous. But I think it was more about let's not have two rookies plus Scotty Pippen Jr. in our starting lineup. Now, Jaylen Wells is not playing like a rookie. Jaylen Wells has been incredible. Jaylen Wells keeps being incredible in every single game. Jaylen Wells was a nightmare for Jordan Poole in that Wizards game. Jaylen Wells is guarding the toughest wing player for the other teams. I feel like Jaylen Wells' defense has been so good, and that's just a bonus. I mean, for me, in my ignorance of not knowing who Jaylen Wells was until the Grizzlies drafted him, I'm thinking, okay, let's read the bullet points of his scouting report. Shooter. Done. That's all I memorized. He's doing things beyond just shooting the three-pointer. He is shooting the three-pointer. He leads all rookies in three-point percentage. He leads all rookies in three-pointers made. He's been great at shooting. But he's also defending unbelievably well. And he forced Jordan Poole into a lot of turnovers. He blocked a shot twice. Jordan Poole fouled Jaylen Wells 3 times, every time out of frustration. I mean, I did not have Jaylen Wells outplaying Jordan Poole on my early season bingo card. I also didn't have the Grizzlies starting Jaylen Wells and him averaging 14 points per game as a starter on my early season bingo card. So Jaylen Wells continues playing great. Also, beyond the three-point shooting on offense, he's scoring at multiple levels. He did a really nice baseline turnaround jumper on Jeremy Grant. He is being very patient and using his size and trusting his size to get his jumper off over shorter players. He ended up with the ball at the end of the shot clock against the Trailblazers, and it's just like, I'm way taller than my opponent. I'm going to calmly shoot a 17-footer and swish it because this guy's not going to bother me. The poise that Jaylen Wells plays with right now is incredible. And so Jaylen Wells is not playing like a rookie, but I'm guessing they moved Zach Edey to the second unit so you had fewer rookies, fewer younger, newer players while Scotty Pippen Jr. starts. But also, as much as Jaylen Wells doesn't look like a rookie, Scotty Pippen Jr. doesn't look like a guy who started the year on a 2-way contract. Scotty Pippen Jr. has been amazing. Scotty Pippen Jr. picks up against the Wizards a triple-double in his first career start. Now, there was some misinformation out there about Scotty Pippen Jr. and his dad, Scotty Pippen, being the first father-son duo in NBA history to both post triple-doubles. That's false. That's not true. Apparently, Dolph Schayes and Danny Schayes are the first father-son duo to have triple-doubles in the NBA. Also, Winston Garland and Darius Garland have done the feat. There might be others. I don't know. I don't know of a convenient way to look this up. There's no father-son filter on Basketball Reference that I know of. By the way, Justin Kubatko, who used to run Basketball Reference, had that correcting information. Also, Micah Adams had that stat about Darius Garland and Winston Garland. But against the Wizards, Scottie Pippen has 11 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. Also, just 2 turnovers in that triple-double. So Scottie Pippen Jr. was excellent against the Wizards. And then again, Jaren scored 39 points. Jaren did whatever he wanted. I mean, there was a lot of field goal attempts for Jaren. 28 field goal attempts is a lot. But Jaren ends with the 6th highest scoring game of his career. Reminder, his career high is 44. In the second quarter, he went by Alex Sarr twice in a row for these dunks where he does like an in and out move. It's like his patented dribble move, I feel like, against bigs. And getting that kind of move out of a 6'11" guy is ridiculous. And so far this season, Jaren's been just really, really great. It's hard to overstate how good Jaren Jackson Jr. has been this season. He's averaging 21.8 points per game, of course, in very few minutes. He is shooting 55% from the field. He's 40% from the three-point line. So Jaren, I think we point to, we're now reaping the benefits of all those on-ball reps he got last season, being the primary offensive player for the Grizzlies last year. Maybe we're reaping those benefits right now. I'm fine with that conclusion. Jaren has looked amazing. Also in the Wizards game, I mean, when you win by a lot, you're going to get those contributions up and down the roster. But I think notably against the Wizards, I was impressed by the play of Luke Kennard. Now, Luke Kennard has played 3 games this year. The Grizzlies are undefeated in games Luke Kennard plays. Luke Kennard's been great. And in the Wizards game, the Grizzlies built up the lead in these non-point guard lineups. I mean, they were ahead from the start. It was basically a blowout from the start. But, like, the starting lineup did fine, got up by a few. Then Jake LaRavia and Luke Kennard check in just like 4 or 5 minutes into the first quarter. This is the same substitution pattern they did against the Trailblazers. These Kennard-LaRavia minutes have been amazing. Against the Wizards, Kennard comes in and all of a sudden is just setting up guys left and right. He hits Santi Aldama for a running dunk in transition. It was a good catch of the pass by Santi Aldama. He then throws an alley-oop to Aldama. Luke Kennard comes in and gets 3 assists immediately against the Wizards. Now he carries that over against the Trailblazers. Luke posts a career-high 11 assists. Luke has been playmaking. And that is not something I have seen from Luke Kennard in his time on the Grizzlies. He is, I feel like, doing a good job of probing with his dribble. He's never been good at beating his guy off the dribble. But, like, maybe, again, it goes back to the new offense where you can see every time a guy gets the ball, they're taking a dribble to seeing if they can get an advantage against their defender. Luke's been really good at it so far, and he is setting his teammates up in these non-point guard minutes. We're talking, of course, no Ja Morant, but then no Scotty Pippen Jr., of course, no Marcus Smart, no Desmond Bane. None of your primary ball handlers are out there, and the Grizzlies are just ripping up the other team. It helps when it's the Trailblazers and the Wizards, but still, it's been really impressive from Luke so far, even in a game where Luke doesn't make his three-pointers. He only hit 1 3-pointer against the Trailblazers. Didn't matter. 11 assists did his job. Other guys are making the shots. Against the Wizards, he was 2 for 4 from the three-point line. But, again, it was just the all-around floor play and playmaking that I really enjoyed from Luke. And also, Jake LaRavia, the playmaking, continues to be there. Now, Jake LaRavia had an outrageously good game against the Trailblazers. His stat line is preposterous. 18 points, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. He only gets 2 assists. What are you doing, Jake? 2 assists is a terrible game from Jake. I'm joking. Against the Wizards, he had 5 assists. He had 3 straight games coming into the Trailblazers game with at least 5 assists. For the season right now, Jake LaRavia, I mean, these are, all right, you could say these are modest averages, but not for a bench player. Right now, Jake is averaging 9 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game. That's a lot for a forward coming off your bench. Meanwhile, nearly a steal per game, a half a block a game. He's making 3-pointers. He's 38% from the 3-point line on the season. It's a low number of attempts. I mean, it's a small sample size. But against the Trailblazers, he was 2 for 3 on threes. This month, the last 5 games, he's 47% on threes. So Right now, Jake LaRavia is playing really, really well. I feel like everyone understands it. For the first 5-6 games, it was like, hey, Jake's playing well, except he's not scoring the ball very, very well. His three-point shot isn't going in. Beyond that, he's playing well. He's helping the team. The reason all of the plus-minus stuff looks great with Jake on the court is because he's defending, he's passing, he's rebounding, doing a good job. The last several games, the offense has come around. And we saw him have this offensive explosion at the end of the year last year. But, of course, those were meaningless, garbage basketball. Sort of, who cares if he's scoring 29 points per game? These games don't mean anything. Somebody has to score. Absolutely true. But right now, Jake is looking really, really strong. And, again, the bench numbers, they're like Kyle Anderson bench numbers as far as 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. I mean, it's Andre Iguodala numbers from prime Andre Iguodala. I just looked them up. Basically the same numbers that Andre Iguodala was posting in his time on the Warriors when the Warriors were in their dynastic run. So Jake LaRavia, a big reason the Grizzlies are 7-4. Luke Kennard returning. Those two guys playing together have been a big boost for the Grizzlies. And, of course, Jaren, against the Trailblazers, 20 points, 7 rebounds. I liked how he rebounded in this game. Maybe it was just one play, but he outfought Donovan Clingan for a contested rebound, pulled it down. So Jaren keeps playing at an all-star level, and then up and down the roster, you're just getting great play against the Trailblazers. Scotty Pippen Jr., who was born in Portland when his dad was playing for the Trailblazers. He has 18 points to follow up his triple-double. The Grizzlies just get out to a monster lead, and this one wasn't. It wasn't close at all. It was the same situation where once the subs check in, first Kennard and LaRavia, and then Zach Edey comes in, and they blew it out to a massive first quarter lead. The story of that game, of the Trailblazers game, is, one of the stories is the Trailblazers couldn't make three-pointers. They were 1 for 19, I think, in the first half. They finished 4 for 42 from the three-point line, which is beyond horrific. That's one of the worst three-point shooting performances in NBA history, without exaggeration. I think we all looked at the StatHead stat. It's the 4th time a team has taken 40 or more threes and made 4 or fewer. Also against the Trailblazers, the Grizzlies posted a season-high 15 steals. They have not been particularly good at generating steals so far this season, but they posted a season-high 15. Their previous season-high for a game was just 10 steals. So the Grizzlies get the big blowout win over the Trailblazers. Let's now actually take a quick break. Come back with more thoughts from each of these games, more breakdown of the guys who played. We'll talk more about Zach Edey, all of that right after this commercial break. All right, for the last 2 games, Zach Edey was moved into a bench role. And I guess you could say the results were great, not just for Zach, but for the team more importantly. The stats that Zach posted the last 2 games are really, really good. Now, I do think the stats are a little bit overstated as far as the individual stats. He picked up a lot of points in garbage time against the Wizards. He also got a lot of steals against the Wizards and the Trailblazers in garbage time. But I do think right now, moving Zach to the bench, it's allowing him maybe to get some more favorable matchups. Although he did face Jonas Valanciunas, got into it a little bit with Jonas in the Wizards game. Jonas caught him with an elbow in the chin. Zach was not having it. Shoves Jonas, stares him down. By the way, when I rewatched the game, I noticed that Zach actually elbowed Jonas in the chin early in the first quarter. So maybe that was brewing. But Zach has picked up stats like I was saying, but the most important stat that I don't think is overstated is over the past, maybe 5-6 games, over the past 2 weeks, Zach's rebounding has been really powerful, and his offensive rebounding has been amazing, and he is actually moving guys out of the way. And yeah, he's still not great with the basketball in his hands. He's still losing the ball, maybe more than you would like. Catching passes, not doing the best job at that, but his offensive rebound numbers, despite the fact he doesn't always rebound maybe by high pointing the ball the way I would like, if he does that, it's going to be unfair because right now Zach Edey is leading the NBA in offensive rebound percentage. He's getting so many offensive rebounds. The team right now, the Grizzlies are rebounding 1/3 of all their misses. Some of that's Zach Edey. Some of that is the team strategy to focus on offensive rebounding this year. But that's a total success right now. And Zach, despite maybe not looking that impressive to me at times, despite that, he's already leading the NBA in offensive rebound percentage. That's just spectacular. I'm very excited about that. Also, the last 2 games, he's picked up 2 assists in each of these games. Baby steps. Against the Wizards, he finished with 14 points, 8 rebounds, those 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. Against the Blazers, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 of them on the offensive end, had a block and 4 steals. Really good job getting in the way. I mean, the Trailblazers were turning the basketball over a lot. Not only were they missing all their 3-pointers, they turned the basketball over a lot. By the way, Zach turned the basketball over a lot. 6 turnovers for Zach against the Trailblazers. The one team stat, I mean, maybe there's a few team stats that the Grizzlies aren't great at, but one of the main stats the Grizzlies are bad at, despite the good start to the season, is turnovers. They turn the ball over a lot. Zach was a part of that with 6 turnovers off the bench. Now, speaking of big guys off the bench who have been good, let's talk about Jay Huff. Jay Huff has been incredible this season. Jay Huff has been outrageous this season. There aren't enough superlatives to describe what Jay Huff is doing in his limited minutes. Jay Huff blocked 6 shots against the Trailblazers. That's a career high. Jay Huff is 4th in the NBA, tied for 4th in the NBA in total blocks. Not blocks per game, not blocks per minute. Total blocks. He's tied with Brook Lopez. He has 10 more blocks this season than Jaren Jackson Jr. When you talk about a per minute pace, it's ridiculous. Before the Trailblazers game, where he got 6 blocks, he was already top 10 in the NBA in blocks per minute. He's the only player top 10 in the NBA in 3-pointers made per minute and blocks per minute. He's still leading the NBA in true shooting percentage. He's doing that by a lot. The guy makes threes. The guy blocks shots. Also makes free throws. He's 15 for 15 from the foul line. That's just icing on the cake. He is the 3rd most free throw attempts without a miss in the NBA right now. By the way, Santi Aldama right behind him. Santi Aldama, 13 for 13 from the foul line. Also, good job, Jake LaRavia last game. 4 for 4 from the foul line. Jake's a good free throw shooter who has not been shooting his free throws very well. He came into the Trailblazers game 50% from the line. So Jay Huff continues being incredible. Zach Edey looking good off the bench. And then Santi Aldama, who is, of course, 100% from the foul line. His 3-point shooting hasn't really been there. Against the Trailblazers, he made 2 out of 4 threes. Hopefully, that snapped his shooting slump. Against the Wizards, he missed all 5 of his 3-point attempts. That meant there was a 6-game span where Santi was 3 for 32 on 3-pointers. He was 2 for 4 against the Trailblazers. I declare the slump to be over. As far as the non-3-pointers, everything Santi has done this year has been solid. Beyond the 13 for 13 from the foul line, small sample size, who cares? He's shooting a career high on 2-pointers. He's well over 60% on his 2-pointers. Also, career high in minutes, points, rebounds, and assists. Even if you break it down to per minute or per possession, he's averaging career highs in assists and rebounds per minute. The move to small forward right now, I think it's really, really working. I think a lot of that is going to stay permanent. I mean, the big issue is going to be what happens if the team gets healthy. Like, we've created more minutes for Jay Huff because Santi Aldama is playing basically all of his minutes at the 3. I don't really want to go back to Santi playing at the 4. I want to keep Edey minutes, Brandon Clark minutes. Of course, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been so incredible this year. You're not taking any of his minutes away. We keep wanting to see his minutes go up. But once Marcus Smart comes back, all right, we think of Marcus as like a 2 or a 3 with Desmond Bane out there. I usually think of Marcus as the 3. But like I like Santi at the 3. So who's going to end up losing minutes? For the game on Wednesday, if Marcus returns, all right, Konchar's probably losing minutes. Konchar returned, played the last 2 games, did not post overly impressive stats, but as I say, he did Konchar things. He was part of the overall cohesive team unit. The moving organism of the new offense. He's out there doing stuff, moving around, cutting baseline, shooting 3-pointers. On defense, he's always been a positive. But like, all right, it's easy. Once Marcus Smart comes back, okay, Konchar loses minutes. But when Vince Williams Jr. returns, which hopefully isn't too far away. Oh, by the way, I don't think I've said it on the show. Vince Williams Jr. practiced with the hustle. So hopefully, I don't know, into this week, maybe next week, Vince Williams Jr., the bug, a.k.a. the machine, a.k.a. V Nasty, is going to be back. When Vince Williams Jr., Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane are back, Ja Morant's back, who's not going to play? Is Luke Kennard not going to play? It seems impossible to imagine Jaylen Wells not playing. Jaylen Wells has been so tremendous. I mean, maybe Jay Huff loses his playing time, and you're like, what more could Jay Huff do? He's been essentially perfect this season. I don't know. It's a good problem to have, but it is a problem. So hopefully they manage that pretty well because we want to get healthy. I also think one of the interesting things, this goes to Ja Morant's stats. This is sort of unrelated. But the way was explaining to my own brain, or the way I was thinking about the team's success so far. Yeah, the defense has been good. The offense has been maybe better than anticipated. A lot of it is, I think, poor opponents. But the way they're just sharing the basketball, the way they're racking up assists over and over and over, basically 30 assists per game. That's their average. And I think, is it this egalitarian style of offense where no one goes one-on-one and like forces a shot because they're all trusting each other? Some of it is that, but like egalitarian is the wrong word because they're not spreading the ball around. The right players are usually shooting the ball. When Ja Morant played, Ja Morant was top 5 in the NBA in usage percentage. Ja Morant was second in the NBA in assist percentage, meaning it's not like everybody is just sharing the ball. No, Ja Morant was dominating the ball, but it still was leading towards success. So I don't know the answer or all the reasons why the team has looked so good together. And I was thinking, well, maybe one of the benefits, and maybe this is one of the reasons years ago that the Grizzlies were so good that season where they had like a 21-4 record when Tyus Jones started. The theory back then was the defense can't prepare because they don't know who's going to attack them every single night because it's so spread out. I mean, right now they know Jaren is the guy to focus on. Well, Jaren is still killing them. So I don't know, like right now, why they've had so much maybe success this early in the year, other than maybe give some credit to the new offensive style. You're getting all of those shots at the bucket. And then maybe you're getting some 3-point luck. Maybe you're getting some opponent luck. Maybe there's certainly going to be a regression towards like Jaylen Wells and Scotty Pippen Jr. and Jay Huff. I mean, part of me as a basketball fan, you think these guys can't be that good. Maybe they can. Who knows? They've been so good so far. And of course, the Grizzlies are off to a great start. I mean, the Trailblazers game, it was over like 30 seconds in. Jaren stole the ball in the first possession on defense, then came down, made a floater on offense, and that was it, I think. The Wizards game was a little more slow, a little more boring. There was a lull in that first half. I mean, I was hosting a Grizzlies watch party in Nashville. A bunch of people came out to watch the win, but like it wasn't all smooth sailing. They got up big, but then it was like, all right, we haven't scored for a while, but then Jaren took that over. Luke Kennard spreading the ball around, and you get these 2 blowouts. Maybe we're going to be seeing a different tune after the next few games. Like you play the Lakers on Wednesday night. That is an in-season tournament / NBA Cup game. The Lakers are 5-0 at home this season. At that point, maybe you're like, okay, yes, we do need Ja Morant, in fact. So maybe that's a tough one. They play the Warriors on Friday night. The Warriors have been incredible this season. So that is a tough game. You play the Nuggets back-to-back next week. Jokic right now is playing just head and shoulders above everybody else in the world. So the schedule's getting tougher. Maybe we will come down to earth some, but right now it's just been, it's been, I would say it's a dream start to the season. And that feels funny to say because of the losses, the 2 losses to the Nets, because of the loss to the Bulls. Like, you could easily be 9-2. But 7-4, absolutely, you're going to take it when you look at the guys leading the team in minutes. And right now, the fact that you're just basically getting whatever you want over the past 2 weeks. I mean, the Grizzlies have the best net rating in the NBA over the past 2 weeks. A 45-point win will do that. But still, great stuff from the Grizzlies. A few more stats to wrap it up. The Grizzlies are 5-1 this season when they attempt at least 30 or more three-pointers. So I don't know if that's anything. We'll continue to monitor that. Jaylen Wells, he's been so good. His shooting splits, though, he's shooting 20 percentage points better in the first half than he is in the second half. I don't know if that's anything. We'll keep an eye on that. Because of the blowouts against the Wizards and the Trailblazers, Yuki Kawamura got some extended run in both games. Yuki made his first basket of the season with a step-back three-pointer against the Wizards. He also set up Jay Huff with an unbelievable behind-the-back pass. Yuki entertaining the home fans. Then in the Trailblazers game, he's entertaining the road fans. The Portland crowd was going nuts for Yuki. He hits another little step back. Nice little mid-ranger to score in that one to entertain the road fans. So that was fun to see. Also, Colin Castleton got some extended run against the Trailblazers. He got 4 rebounds and ended up with 4 points. His first points as a Grizzly was 4 for 4 from the line. And I think with that, we can wrap up the show. Great weekend. Anytime you get 2 blowouts, I don't care who you are playing, that is a good time. And now the Grizzlies have 2 days off. And then again, Wednesday, road game against the Lakers. Friday, road game against the Warriors. Buckle up. Should be a good time. Anyways, if you want to support my show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. If you join up over there, you get exclusive bonus content. You get a monthly bonus episode. Also, you can join the Slack channel. You can join the Grizzlies specific Slack channel and talk about the Grizzlies around the clock with me and other Grizzlies fans. All right. You guys have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz!